so delighted to be here, and welcome to another exciting panel during the Techne Summit. We're joined by three amazing women from the tech industry, an all-women panel. And so I would like to introduce our panelists. On my right, I have Kelly Tran, the Manager of Commercial Development at Misfit, United States. Luisa Meneghetti, the Community Manager at the Port at Tran, Switzerland. And Amira Rashad, the Regional Head of Brand Advertising at Facebook, MENA region. I would like first to start by asking our audience, do you know what's common between the president of Intel, the CEOs of Facebook and SpaceX, the CFOs of Microsoft, Google, and the CEOs of HP, General Motors, IBM, YouTube, Yahoo? Any guess? Any guess? What? Fail? Male? They're all women. So this is to say that technology is not just for men, right, Amira?
I will actually also add that the person who invented coding is Miss Lovelace, so a woman, obviously.
Yeah. Kelly, is technology only for men?
Absolutely not. So in my company, you see a big diversity of gender, where we see women now take place in a lot of high management level. So our CFO is a woman. And also you see a lot of engineering works in the company are now done by women.
Luisa, with all these names and women in high positions, there's another reality, actually the facts and figures about women in the tech industry are not quite good. Do you think that, and I would like to give some numbers here. In 2013, just 26% of computing jobs in the US were held by women. And at Google, women hold only 17%, at Facebook 15%, and at Twitter it's 10%. Is it a truthful impression that women don't get really interested in tech?
Not really, because I believe that tech attracts every person that is curious enough to take up a challenge and to try to find a solution to a problem. So definitely, women are interested in tech. What I believe is that women get discouraged when they see that despite all the programs and support that is being given to science education during their early stages of education, then they reach a level in their career where it's extremely challenging to go to the next stage, have a real promotion. So I think that with a long-term vision, they get discouraged. That's why the number of women in tech is lower than it should be.
Amira, I would like to have your take on this.
Sure. So, I mean, there is no silver bullet as such as to why there are, women are underrepresented in technology. They're underrepresented in a lot of other fields as well, but technology is particularly problematic. It starts, as is mentioned, at a very early stage when they're discouraged, so to speak, to go, via the analytical routes from an academic perspective, be it math or science or what have you. And then at subsequent stages, they find themselves quite often the minority in faculties of computer science and math and so on. It becomes a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. But then assuming they actually bridge all of these gaps and decide to either join a big tech company or do their own startup, there are more hurdles there than a man has to face. So let's take the entrepreneurial route. A lot of that is about networking. A lot of it is about who you know, who's willing to mentor you, and so on. And that tends to be obviously quite male-centric wherever you are. And in big corporations, it is the classic story of who is mentoring you, who is there to take you forward, but most importantly, how much of your overall goals in life, be it starting a family or having kids or whatever it is, are being fulfilled through the same track that men are following in these big corporations, or do you need to redefine that track and take a new perspective on it, not just on a personal level, but actually on a corporate level, allowing you to do these things. The expectations still, unfortunately, are that women bear more than their fair share of, family support or child support or whatever it is, and that is often misconstrued as being leaning back or not taking their share of corporate responsibilities, and that puts them at a disadvantage when it comes to promotion. Basically, it's as simple as that.
So adding to this, Kelly, what do you think is important in terms of facilities inside a company for women not only to enter the workforce, but to stay and to reach high levels?
It's the matter of encouraging women to speak up and in order to realize the talent of women, you don't just give them a high level or give them high salary, but you have to encourage them to speak up and to also participate in important projects of the company. So I think in some aspects, women will be a little bit better than men. No offense to all of gentlemen here, but you see that some women will naturally be more understanding, or even they. So I have read some news. Some researchers said that women's choice will impact around 85% of purchasing decisions. So that's why in an organization, if you have women, then you will they will facilitate the choices of products and the choices of design of your products that we launch to the market, and it will somehow increase your sales and increase the competitiveness of your products. Yeah.
Luisa, the president of Global Fund for Women says we can't divorce the global technology gap and the future of women's rights. Coming from this humanitarian background, how do you see the women in technology in this big sphere or spectrum of women's rights?
Well, women in technology relates to women in the workforce, first of all. So it relates to the right of women to participate to work, the right of women to achieve, and in the bigger picture, I would say that it's a holistic effort that has to be taken. It cannot be tackled just category by category, putting the right to have the right to health and women's health on one box, the right to work on another. So it has to be something that goes across all sectors and that touches different dimensions of women's life. And I think this answers your question, or?
I actually want to sort of have a follow-up point here. So when we think of women and technology, we think of women employed in technology, which is obviously a huge topic and one worth digging into. But also, I think we would be remiss not to mention the role of technology in women's lives in general, in terms of allowing them a voice especially in a lot of developing countries where that used not to be the case. Before the advent or the proliferation of user-generated content, you simply did not hear enough from women, or you did not hear their voices definitely to the extent or to the level that you need to. And that obviously impacts things like the political process, like their rights when it comes to, you know, access to basic services and what have you. So I think that is a huge part or a huge driver for women to be more involved in technology, even on a most sort of basic level as a user, be it through the startup of a blog or a participation in an online community or whatever it is that she believes will further her voice or represent her ideas and allow her to be a more productive member of society as well.
Okay. Amira, in that context, what do you think are the obstacles that come along the way?
With regards
in the workplace, and at the same time socially, in the families and the way girls are being raised.
So I'll give you a tangible example. Several months ago, we hosted at the Facebook office a whole class of high school girls who wanted to learn more about career opportunities in technology. And we started talking to them about, here are all the different things you can become, and here's what you need to be focusing on, and so on. And then when we opened the floor for questions, their questions were all about, do you travel a lot? Do you have kids? It was a very, I mean, these were 17 and 18 years old, and they were worried about what I'm doing with my kids. So they're quite a while away from being in that position, but I think they are worried because society burdens them with these concerns early on. I'm not saying that a woman or a young lady should not be concerned about that. It is a huge part of one's life if you choose to have a family. But in my personal experience, I actually think that technology has been more of a liberating or supporting aspect than it has been an impediment in my life. So I'll give you a small example. I have two boys. They were here earlier, actually, and I travel quite a bit. I find that because I have a career and because I am committed to achieving certain goals, and because I'm also committed to them and supporting them, I force myself to balance it out. So how do I do that? We Skype, and I support on homework via Skype. They send me lists with their to-dos for homework at 4 p.m. every day when they get home from school. And so you kind of need to think a little bit more creatively about how to achieve both goals. I used the word balance earlier. I actually don't believe it's a balance at all. It's just a matter of trying to integrate both. If you have to go home early one day, attend to something and then finish your emails, do that, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's what email is there for. And then you obviously need to be prioritizing, and there really should not be that solid wall between you as a member of a family and you as a career woman. It's not one or the other, it's how do I make both work?
May I just add a couple of things on what Amira just said? Coming from a completely different background and moving into tech and innovation, I witnessed a couple of trends. One is the general trend of, for instance, adding the word female to the profession, like female engineer, female entrepreneurs, female technologists, female innovators. I've recently been asked to join a networking group of female entrepreneurs. I was like, why not just entrepreneurs? So one thing that acts as an obstacle is always to see the woman first and then the role, or the woman first and then what she does. Why not just reverse this trend and just talk about entrepreneurs, just talk about innovators, scientists, whatever the profession it is. And the second one is more specific to the sector. It's really necessary to start deprogramming the culture, the technology culture. There is still a trend of having this bro culture that is highly competitive, that is kind of suspicious about women, because I believe that they didn't have many opportunities to actually work and study together with women. The numbers of women in highly scientific tracks in academia are really, really low. So they are never, ever the majority. So I believe that this kind of distance between the bros of technology and the ladies of technology, yeah, it's definitely a burden.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a long discussion, but can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because coming from an Asian culture, I really understand that all the young girls were directed by their family when they were young, that when you grow up, you have to take care of the family, and you don't need to reach high level, just do all the admin works and everything. So that's really impact the young generation to think of that way. And when they grow up, I think there's another obstacle is when they get married. If the husband really understands that, so that's totally fine. But if the male people around them still think that women should not do all these things, then so it cannot.
Luisa, based on what you said, how can we inspire the coming generations, women, to actually enter the tech and choose technology and
How can we
science and
inspire?
engineering?
Well, there is a very simple action that actually everybody can do, that is make a commitment of becoming a champion. Making the commitment of becoming a champion means finding every opportunity, every possible opportunity to share good practices, to share stories of success, to talk about activities led by women technologists, women innovators, and again, I'm using women.
Can I real quick? I think you should start with the boys, not the girls. I think,
How?
seriously, you need to establish an understanding with boys and therefore the future men that you need to, that family and work are a joint commitment that you need to share in. And if you do not do that, you'll be doing your partner a disfavor because she is an equal contributor in this process. There is absolutely no monopoly on where the brains are, and two brains are better than one if you're going to be supporting a family.
Well, Kelly, what's your take on this? How can we inspire the next generation, starting by men and boys?
Yeah,
What
that's
else?
what I mentioned as well. I mean, all the families members are really important to us. Like, for example, I feel very lucky to have a husband that really support me. I'm not saying because he's here, but I feel really lucky that I can travel a lot, and so I still manage all the whole housework. You know, and there's nothing wrong with a woman that can be on stage and joining all the others
course
technologists. You know, I'm not from an engineering background actually, yeah, but I think there's a lot of aspects in work in the corporate world that women can take part of and can do even better than men.
Cool.
Yeah.
One last comment before we take any
I
questions.
just wanted to say, I don't think, and this isn't specific to women, this is specific to I mean, not just girls, boys and girls. You can basically be whatever or whoever you want to be, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. This is a message that's been recurring every day. We create our own obstacles, we create our own limitations up here. Just reach for the stars.
Yes, so we're going to take a couple of questions. We're running out of time, but we've got some time for questions from the audience. No microphones?
Hi, my name is Noha. I manage an angel investment accelerator here in Cairo. And I want to comment about the fact that you don't have many women or girls joining the engineering or computer science tracks. That is applicable into maybe the States, the European market, but not in the Arab region. Here, here in Egypt specifically, you have a majority of a faculty joining is women. They join the engineering or computer science because it's the elite, prestigious thing to be. After they graduate, they face hurdles in getting employment. I remember I'm a graduate from computer science 10 years ago, and sure, there is like, okay, we don't hire women because you either will get, if you get married, you will leave, and all that kind of negative bias towards women employment. So you have this ceiling that you cannot prevail. So I don't know. What's your take on this?
Start your own business and then buy them up. Seriously, I don't think we think enough in an entrepreneurial mindset. You have made it into and through the computer science program because you're obviously very smart. There is absolutely no reason why you can't look around you, see an issue or a problem that either your community or the country or indeed the world has, and that you can't program your way out of it. And believe me, do it and others will follow. We just don't do that enough.
Hello, my name is Mariam. I'm a software engineer. I think the main problem is that even though there are a lot of successful women right now in technology, such as you, I think the problem is that people don't see that they can actually succeed in their personal life too. They think that if a woman is successful in technology or in her business, she's not very successful at home or with her kids. And it's not a raised issue, so that the successful women, they don't talk about this that much. So they don't actually give the image that you can be successful at both. So what do you think we can do about that? How can we change this image?
Well, that goes back to what I previously said. Everybody has to make the commitment to start talking about their stories, their successes, to start encouraging friends, start their own business. We need a supportive culture. And to do that, we need to change the culture if that is not supportive or not supportive enough. So start taking the commitment and start sharing the success stories, start asking to share advice, and the rest will follow.
I think the meaning of the word success is very broad as well. Like, even though you think that you are successful in your housework and your work, but other people, when they look at it, they see, no, you're not successful. But if you think that you're already successful, then it's fine. What's the point of thinking?
I also very quickly want to add, I think we should also do a good job in sharing our failures, because I don't think we talk about that much, and when we do share them, and people listen and think about them, then we start getting solutions. One final thing is networking. So the more you create networking groups, and they don't have to be exclusive for women, the more you'll be exposed to other people's challenges, and you'll be brought in to support them as well. And you know, it takes a village, as they say, to get stuff done. So reach out, use others.
Cool, thank you so much. One last question. Do you think we'll be having the same conversation 5 years later?
I hope not.
We all hope
Let's
not.
hope
Thank
not.
you so much. Thank you so much, Amira, Kelly,
very much.
and Luisa. Thank you so much.